Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. Those of us who are live with us on the Campaign for Good Governance Facebook page, those who are listening via Radio Democracy 98.1, and also the one that we're doing our SMS online TV. Good afternoon and welcome to this discussion. Today I have with me eminent women who will be discussing the topic women, governance and accountability. In the last few days, alleged corruption and the importance of accountability has dominated the governance and public debates in Sierra Leone. Decades of research and advocacy in the country has shown that mass corruption and lack of accountability constrains development, exacerbates and causes conflict, and serve as one of the biggest obstacles to achieving any development plan. However, neither research nor policy has paid sufficient attention to the tripartite issues of women, governance, and accountability in Sierra Leone, and how these should be dealt with within the broad discourses around corruption and holding public officers, especially women, accountable. There is sufficient evidence to show that bad governance and lack of accountability have differing impacts on women and men. But the debates in the last couple of weeks in Sierra Leone have generated many unaddressed questions. And Campaign for Good Governance puts together this panel as part of a Women in Governance series for talk about this issue. With me, now the panel, I get Nasu Fofana. Nasu na household name when it comes to women's issues. I mean, she's multi-talented, but for this purpose, she's actually a gender expert. The second person I want to introduce, na my own big one, where I actually be the head of Campaign for Good Governance, Vanora Edwin. I mean, she's a human rights and good governance campaigner for almost 20 years standing. I want to also introduce the Auditor General for the Republic of Sierra Leone, where I happen to be a certified chartered accountant. This woman lay a very strong foundation and it don't raise the bar for women in public life. I will move on and introduce a senior sister in the good governance struggle in the person of Lena Thompson. She's actually a political scientist and she's been teaching at the university. And she's my teacher. I also want to introduce Yasmin Fofana. Yasmin Fofana, I mean, she's vast in women and human rights, and she's also here. We have a very, very strong panel this afternoon, and recent debates don't raise a number of questions, and we think, say, this team here so can look at how, for example, we can broaden the discourse, because at the policy level, we know only think so we formulate policies devoid of women's specific concerns and gender-related issues. So on that note, I want to just quickly turn my attention to the panelists them. And for let me begin directly, for talk this talk. And the panelists them, each and every one will give a 5-minute introduction on the topic. These are women who have experienced public life in various facets. In fact, we talk about accountability. Accountability. Many a times we can just focus on the resources, the corporate business, But accountability gets so many facets. But then I can open the floor up, let the woman that lay the foundation as to wetin governance and accountability mean from woman the yard. That's why we're saying a women's perspective to accountability and good governance. For obvious reason, I will start with Valnora Edwin, where actually a good governance campaigner. Valnora for able for tell we wetin e mean, because we can always think say woman and corruption. When it comes to corruption, Valnora, the woman they run a politics any different? Over to you.
Thank you very much. And thanks to Campaign for Good Governance for organizing this space, this forum to have this discussion. So whether women across the board, as long as you're in a leadership position, whether in the public sector or in the private sector, you're supposed to be accountable. And accountability and transparency covers, as you rightly said, not just about resources. It has to do with processes, it has to do with procedures, it has to do with the sort of leadership that you exhibit when you're in that office. And when you look at what accountability and the importance of accountability and transparency within good governance and consolidating democracy, it applies whether you are a man or a woman. Now, when we talk about in governance or in leadership or those in public office, we are all aware that because of the limited number of women and because of the limited opportunities for women to occupy those spaces, when they sit in these offices, the bar is always high. There is so much focus. And to some extent, it is believed, studies have shown that a good number of women in authority show higher levels of integrity than men. And so in some spaces or in some countries, they have used that to leverage and to ensure they have in very sensitive offices or increase the number of women with the conviction that they would exhibit or they exhibit higher levels of integrity. But we should be mindful that women are not homogeneous, we are human beings. And as I rightly said, transparency and accountability applies to everyone. The law applies to all of us, whether we're men and women. And when you are in leadership, there are expected conduct. So you do have some women, unfortunately, who do not meet that criteria, who do not meet that level. So despite that we are pushing for women to be in leadership, and despite the fact that you do have a lot of research that has shown women exhibit greater levels of integrity, yet there are times, unfortunately, you do come across women who do not have what it takes to continue sitting in these offices or have the leadership qualities, the skills, the integrity, and the posture to continue to occupy those spaces. And so obviously what accountability talks about is you need to be held accountable for your actions. So whether you sit in even spaces where we sit, which is, you might say, almost in the private sector space, non-state actor space, we also have to be accountable, which is why we have boards that hold meetings and we need to make reports to.
Oh, thank you so much, Valnora, for laying that foundation there on women and accountability. Basically, Valnora say whether it be man, whether it be woman, accountability are basic tenets of governance, and we're not homogeneous group. Women then different and they display varying character. And when they go to that office stay, because accountability critical, everybody gets a role for play for live up to the standards of integrity where the system and policy don't set. And then move on to the Auditor General of Salome. Lara, when person take public office, the couple on your own.
Thank you very much, Marcella. Thank you very much, panelists, and good afternoon, everybody. First of all, that money when a public fund, now we all money, because if you pay tax, so if you're an employee, if you do business, so if you pay GST, if na people that can help we for run the country, then give we don't know money, oh, no, so that person dey in money. The money now we all money. And whoever use that money there, he get for be accountable to we all. And that makes so systems and processes then they in place where the guide how for use the money then dey. But what we dey see over the years is that who people are not understand say that money they not to the money. And the citizens themselves, we self not understand say that money they not to the people the money now we money. So we suppose we're able to ask the right question. And because we know the right question, them, that makes so I think to say we then at this position now inside this country, yeah. Over the years, where people they feel to say the money they are, not the money. We get for come more from that thought process as Sierra Leoneans. Otherwise, we go there year in, year out, year in, year out. Water not day, lights not day, hospital not the work, eye for work. The money, when are we money? Where the one the way we entrust the money then they too for use them on we behalf. They not the use them on we behalf. So now the situation now the Marcella, as far as me see, for now inside salon, if we not get our reserve, if we not make up we mind for educate ourselves, for make we know say this money are public money. Whoever na the holder of any public office, he use them for we the Sierra Leoneans, and accountable to we the Sierra Leoneans. So now me small talk that on that matter.
Okay, I like the note where you end as the Auditor General that we get for really take care of the state resources, because it's like say the same thing no more. Everything, every day we dey call for the same thing. Nobody know they listen. We get for the grapple with the same problem over and over again. Lena, is there a way out to accountability? Who's they teach political science? Whose opportunity they within the way where politics unfold in a salon? Whose opportunity there for women them and accountability?
Thank you very much. Well, as the previous speakers then say, a big problem. But where we teach politics, we can start we own analysis from the states, how the states organize, how would they get power in the states, how then they distribute that kind of power there. And then we also look at the threats and the challenges to the state. Now we talk about accountability, but over the years since independence, the state has not been accountable. Okay, so if the state's not accountable to its citizens, the citizens themselves not will be accountable. And the reason I say that is it's because the type of government that we don't get over the years have not been accountable to governments. Now we're there in a democratic system, where that system the tenets of it now accountability, transparency, and good governance. Now, if you don't come up from a culture where we normally practice that, where we now, it will take a long time for make we all go there on that same page, politicians as well as the citizens, for able for understand say we have to be accountable to ourselves and also to the state. When we go now elections and votes, with a handover, we mandate for them so that they go rule with. But one thing very important in democracy is that the citizen expect them say they have to be accountable. So if the state's not accountable, individuals within the state, women issues the rights, the opportunities will also suffer from that. So we start from the actual premise of the state. What constitutes the state? What in our responsibilities? What in our accountability to the state? And if the state, they function properly because people and they abuse them, all that thing also we call for increase empowerment of women, it will be null and void. So we have to transform our state. We all have to be on the one page that this is our system of government, all matter for the on board. If you are entrusted in a position of public service, you have to get that integrity within yourself. And an important thing again, when we look at the state is made up of us as individuals. We have to look at ourselves, our core values. Because if I grow up and not say if I take this thing as well, I'll get a problem. I grow up, I go serve, I know they take them. But we've kind of lost that sense of self. Therefore, those we entrust offices to also not get that sense of self. So if I can conclude, the state, we have to look at how the state is organized, how power is distributed, how also the challenges of the state. It's a process, okay? It's a process, and things like this, forums like this, also help us for understand what are actual duties and responsibilities.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Lena. The responsibility of the citizen. For let the state function, for let the state function, the citizens therefore be functional citizens. There is a citizen-state relationship, as Lena Thompson already foundation. Many a times we talk of strong institutions in the state, but the argument is if institutions should be strong, there needs to be strong individuals who should build those institutions. So the self, those who take public offices, those who sit in public offices, then therefore be a reflection of what in that office they carry, for let that office able to stand the test of time, and let it able to stand with the tenets of accountability. Thank you for that foundation. I'm actually moving on to Nasu Fofana, a gender expert. And I think, say, Nasu, with the talk about accountability, as I said earlier on at the program, that people just they focus accountability per money. But accountability, they take various forms. And woman them, because of our very nature as woman, unfortunately, when you even come to political life, abuse emanates. Different focus on the day on how women have been used as access for dissolved policy formulation, and then they use them as access, and then they suffer abuse within public life. I want to let you tell me something more about women and the different phases of corruption when they suffer, and abuse when they suffer in a public life. Nasu, we cannot hear you. If you can turn your microphone on.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Loud and clear, we can hear you.
Okay, let me start for say a very big thank you to your leadership, Marcella, Campaign for Good Governance, and 98.1 and everybody where they share this very important forum on this very, very, very important and timely discussion. You just can't hit me with Sabi one for start. So thank you. We get for first of all, where they talk about women them in the areas of corruption and accountability. Just look around, when they say salon, when they say mama salon, When they say Africa, then say Mama Africa. But let us say, we they abuse the state. And so we they see how we they abuse Mama Africa and Mama Salone. And would that then make Mama Salone and Mama Africa? The majority na woman them. So we don't even begin to say when they want abuse, we then they put in a pedestal where they make we feel good. Like for say, we fine, okay? So then they use that nice word then they at that primary and primitive level for make like for say, then put in a pedestal where very, very, very big. So now make you get all the offices what they talk about, office of the first lady, office of the women's wing, office of that women's foot. This now a very, very good strategy for really make sure say women they feel good while they try for abuse we intelligence and we human rights. But we they talk about corruption as if everybody seem for no waiting at corruption. For me, granny in a village, me namesake Nasu, I go want let you know waiting and saying corruption. Because corruption, basically, now when we trust you, like when we say, Marcella, you the lead campaign for good governance. We don't put all we trust and respect in you. Say, we want to let you do the right thing at our office day, as woman or as man. But in this case, my question will ask me as woman. Then you go sit down there, we don't put you there. Where you gonna for yourself no more? Now you want great for do everything. If we ask you question, you go fire we. If you know all kinds of things you they do, so you're not accountable to me. That means that you they use the position for benefit yourself instead of you use them for make all the women in the country in general benefits. So the fact that you use that power there for yourself, than the nine of the corruption. Not also una, I think say una know better than me pada explanation. But I want to let people know why really women and they suffer inside this whole talk what they talk. First of all, we not get access to space. Okay? Because the big corruption, what they call grand corruption, if they start outside and they go sit down and plan how for run the country, who that them for give money, who that them for appoint, who that them for make so and make so. Okay? So who said they make the policy there? Now they force the big IMP corruption they start. Because if inside them policy, then they make for we, they don't go talk say, now this money for give so, and members say now politicians and they go, you know, where they can have power, and they go set the policy agenda. If they don't go set the policy agenda, they don't say they want for give this, they outside the interest day. Now then they put most of the money. What to make you feel so say when the politicians and they sit down, when they say budgetary allocation, you don't want to see them put Ministry of Gender up na the list? Because then they call with the woman then ministry, okay? But now we get one of the least money when they give. So again, then they call with them woman then ministry, we don't give them. Tokenism, for make we at school. All day then give we pepper water for Paul we at and they will grab we clap for them. So that's now one way, that big side. Then when they can for can implement some policy, then they, what I mean by implementation, when they can for can make let them policy, then they work. Most of the people when they put before for let them policy, then they work in the places of ministers, who side them for make law, then a parliament, all them side and they, now who that then they. Now man then sit on it. So when they don't go try the bargain with the policy, then they come back side for make now man then they. Now we the woman, then now we for go handle the chaff. When we go for go handle that chaff, first of all, we not get space, so they not give you opportunity. Okay, look no more almost minister woman that we get, almost minister, almost parliamentarian that we get. So when we they go now for go try for fet for this thing where they don't say now for mama, we get for go back go sweat. When we go for go sweat, most of the time we get for pay high interest rates, and in most cases, what I mean high interest rates, now we body than they ask for. So when we talk about corruption, me not even focus so much about the money side because we know we get the auditor general, we get una na we understand about the money side. Now, how we get for understand say sexual violence now a currency for corruption. Now, one of the biggest currency of corruption, and what's sad is we not look how women and human rights then they really actually abuse them within the space of corruption. So we not measure that one day, we not even discuss them. So you go see somebody sit on an office, who don't go give him power, somebody they go quit her, he go keep him, he go give him belay, he corrupts all the women in the office, nothing not they happen. But then go talk say, hey, boy, you know, say not so man then son. But if me myself I sit on one office, me a minister, I go keep me staff, okay? Just get a relationship. you go see me name na newspaper. So you dey see say the space is very skewed and it's so discriminatory against women. So when they talk about corruption, now begin, as you talk in the beginning, now begin talk about some of the things that way they make women and spaces then close. If I ever go sleep with somebody for make I get good job, if I ever go sleep with somebody for make I really able for excel na me area of work, that's after I don't go get me degree, learn I don't go teach me. Lara Sidon they do all kind of work for make sure say we accountable. Where they want talk, when one talk to this BNT, then Mutu BNM. Why then Mutu BNM? Because we're not plenty in the space we're able for support them. You understand? But me they tell you say right now, if Lara Taylor Pierce na attorney auditor general, we get people like Basita Michael or even Yasmin Jushi Sharifudena as attorney general. Let we get Yuba or Valnora, okay, as anti-corruption commissioner at this country. Let we get woman in then 3 position and let's see how that one they go impact the levels of corruption. Whether it's sextortion, when an issue we are very passionate about sextortion, when man and they use, because mostly na man them. So me another shy away from that. When man and they use them privilege and opportunity and power for really discriminate and disempower and abuse women them. Okay, power will give them. Then they take state resources. They really try for make sure say women and feel bad about themselves. So sextortion, now one area where we think say the anti-corruption for look at public officials where they use and abuse their power for abuse women and human rights. Make a tap there for now.
I mean, so thank you so much, Nasu, for open way into various aspects of accountability. Because one of the things that we know really they pay attention to now abuse of office. And most of the problem they face, abuse of office can take various forms, like we don't open way into sexual exploitation. You know, within, I mean, it's all about power and how power dynamics they work. And how women they can be victim and suffer from them power they from the highest office. But I want to turn over to Yasmin. And because we can come back to a number of points we raised here, Nasu, because this thing about bullying of women in public life, I think that's something we'll need for clear, you know, for we listeners then for understand better. So I'll therefore come back to that. But one lady asked me lay the foundation around this whole notion of taxpayers' money. What's in there inside the consolidated revenue fund? This being told the Yaibo single treasury accounts. All them things in there are the box, what we can call state coffers, who's our state money the inside. And Lara don't tell me earlier on say that state money they not to nobody, then just send you no more as caretaker, not to nobody more and the people of Salon better. So you ask me, who does really for access money from that consolidated fund? Auntie Yasmin.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marcella. And thank you to yourself as organizers and to the other panelists and everybody for giving me this opportunity for take part in this debate and this very important and topical issue. You ask about who
Yes, ma'am, we seem to have lost you. The question is, who does
taxpayers?
Yes.
Not all citizens. But the money belongs not only to the taxpayers, the people who pay the taxes, who have the opportunity to pay taxes, but also to those who may not be paying tax now, either because they're young, or because they're not already, they're old and infirm or they're sick. So the money belongs to all of us as Sierra Leoneans. It's part of the wealth of the country, which according to the constitution belongs to the people of Sierra Leone, and the people of Sierra Leone are sovereign. The people of Sierra Leone are above their state, in fact. Although we all are part of the state, the most important part of the state and the part that owns and owns the state and for whom the state exists is the people of Sierra Leone. So when we talk, as Lara has said and others have confirmed, The taxpayers' money is money that in this, we say in law, is held in trust. Those people who are in charge of our tax monies and the other revenues and donations from other countries, especially donations which themselves are coming out of the taxes of other people from other citizens, poor people, as the people at Action Aid like to call it, poor people's money. The money does not belong to those who are in control of the administration of the state. The money does not belong to public servants. The money does not belong to politicians, to the political class. The taxpayers' money doesn't belong to anyone who happens to have access to the checkbook of the Bank of Sierra Leone. The money is held in trust, which means that the people who control it are under special obligations to be honest about and transparent in how they deal with the money, to take particular care to make sure that that money is spent efficiently and spent for purposes that advance the welfare of the people of this country. So that's what taxpayers' money is about, and it really doesn't mean that because we elected you on a particular day that you can do what you like with our money. You have a continuing obligation for look after we money, for take care of we money, for safeguard them, for spend them wisely. And that obligation, they continue even after you don't left office. And that obligation, they extend to everybody where take it upon themselves for share the responsibility with you for advance the welfare of the people of this country. So the way we political system and we legal system is organized, every year, the government, the executive, the people in the executive, they develop a budget and then they go to parliament, the legislators, and the legislators are supposed to take their time and look very carefully at the budget and approve the estimates. If something is not approved to be spent within that specified period of just usually 1 year, maybe sometimes even just 6 months, if that money is not, directly, clearly demarcated and said, this money is to be spent by this person for these particular purposes within this amount of time, if that doesn't happen by parliament, then you can't spend that money. It's not correct that, the job of the parliament is to write a blank check to the president and the ministers. The Minister of Finance doesn't control the checkbook. He only signs the checks that are provided for in the national estimates and in what is passed in the appropriations bill. That's why it's so big and so long, so many pages, because everything is supposed to be in there. And if it isn't in there, then there are processes by which you go back to parliament as the executive and say to parliament, I'm sorry, we've run out of money for this, or this emergency has come up, we need more money, therefore you have to approve it and authorize us to spend it. Nobody in government is given a blank check to spend the people's money as they think fit and as they wake up in the morning and decide they want to do.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you, Yasmin. I think Famble, the way they listen, you were just tuning to 98.1, or you were they look from SMS online TV or from the Campaign for Good Governance Facebook page. These are women of Sierra Leone who have been in public life or still in public life. They talk to now about what women governance and accountability mean. And the voice we be listen to na Yasmin Fofana, Yasmin Jusu Sharif. Now, yes, me don't lay the foundation. I mean, we all get this problem, Marcella Samba, Marcella Macaulay. So yes, me would just forgive me for that. Now, yes, me don't lay the foundation. What's in the wake in the morning, no more, we in a public office. You say, I want this, I want this, I want this. You put on a shopping cart. No, that's not how public office works. Now, parliament get for approve the money we spend. And if something come up, you really want for system, this the benefit salon people. And so the expectation of salon people, you they go back to parliament and they will make adjustments, you know. So the law, because even the adjustments when they make for that financial year in a law, because then they pass on through parliament. When they make that adjustment, they will come out, you can spend as parliament stipulates. I think Stefan will then get for note that. And thank you, Yasmin, we don't lay that foundation for we. And I come quickly to Laura before I go to Valnora. I did with some young woman then today, and I say, Auntie Marcella would have said, oh, it's public life here, so the way when they bash you and then the thing the way then they took and then you think say we get any form, you know, we'll go able to change the mindset towards women them because we think say the way when they bash you now, we not think say we as young women that we really want to take up this challenge we I don't take so. And I think say a better person for encourage young women about this are you. Because what you do, you sit down that side where you look once again money for me. And if anything happen, you they raise them. And that courage that we get for raise the issue then day for salon, for the betterment of the current generation and for the betterment of the younger generation. I think say now that courage here one for like express this afternoon and for like encourage with young women they say what's now the skill they don't use to manage that office day and for give them the confidence they yes they're not for lose hope, they for aspire to that.
Okay, thank you very much, Marcella. That's a very interesting question. In fact, this morning, I made a talk to some young people on one particular issue where if you get that kind personality, if you get that kind of character, you know, come what may, you go for stand the storm. Because the reality, the storm you go get for calm, the storm then get for calm. But first of all, if you're not expert at what you do, you make sure say what you do it right. You sabi what you sabi you work. Nobody not get for challenge what you do. Number two, if because of how you do you work, you do able forget ally them because when it's something rough, you need forget people around you. We go hold you up, we go support you, we go talk for you sideways and say you not able for day for talk for you. You know. The other thing is, I can always say sometimes and day you for make like you know the yegi. Because anybody will make in your own work that one day for malign somebody else in character. That person they not get integrity at all. So if you know at the back of your mind, say you to do the right thing, but somebody decide for my just feel sorry for that person. Because the reality is that that person is a very weak person, he not get character, he not understand what you do. So just left him. So as young people, a young woman, them way might want for kind to become me, I go encourage you now because we not boku. I go encourage you now for kind to the space, but una make sure say una sabu, una wake, una go good one. So nobody not go challenge you for say you not do and fine, you not do and this, you not do and that. Anytime when they challenge them, they come, we be able for direct and say, you not sabi me work pass when you do me work. Go look yonder if you want to educate yourself. Anybody want for course you or write all kinds of things, but you just ignore. Set you want. Tell yourself, say, wow, now so this person in the behave. Sorry for him because he not get integrity for even operate now the public space. All of them kind of behavior then they, you know, now when they talk about we can accountability. Accountability as NASU self don't say not so money business. Now how you how you behave under certain situation then. How you go Allah begin fet where somebody found you wanting situation where then tell person say if they catch you and inside the cookie jar, You where you are inside, and not so you do bad. Now you where catch the person they talk. Now you don't turn the enemy of the state. Now so somebody will come in time, but now so we get for to get allies them. Get allies them, get people we can look up to, you know, some of who we always available for talk to and get at the back of your mind saying, but I can't be bothered for any kind of, you know, these people don't have character. That's why they're doing that. And make sure say you.
Thank you. I mean, thank you so much, Lara. Lara don't emphasize, you know, women, we need for brace up, especially young women aspiring for public life. That's so it turns for now. We start forget the vote 1808. At a man, they don't begin vote long time. And when it comes to public life and accountability, therefore take some time for let people understand so oneself can take position and when he take position for respect them. But for now, we therefore perform 10 times better. Because waiting do, no sooner you talk, they say, left no more. You know, sabi the issue self, all 10 woman no get sense. So you get for know the subject matter, you get for know, understand what you do, you get for do them with all forms of confidence and integrity. Because when you are held to account, you get for prove yourself and prove yourself worthwhile. Now the reality of the situation that right now. I'll turn the microphone to Valnora Edwin. Valnora, run tape on this good governance campaign. In fact, I can call you my sister in the campaign. Many times when he going can get stuff, like where they won't go to for more ideas. So let's strategize together. But I feel like now what we can call rigmarole. The one that way they allow corruption right now. Now then one that way they detest corruption today. The one that way they detest corruption right now, they support corruption today. This is confused. When you talk, Paul, then you encourage Sierra Leoneans then for no say accountability and corruption are fundamental of the state. Accountability and corruption not by whose party they in power. Because some people they hail corruption, say corruption a bad thing, and they condemn them. Now then they hail corruption. So I don't even understand. So we confused. So as a good governance campaigner, send out a message to the public. Vanna, I think we lost you. Can you put on your microphone?
Oh, sorry. So I was saying it's a very good question. But when I start, I make mention that accountability and transparency is needed for let the society grow. And that is there irrespective of whether you're a man or you're a woman, especially when you hold public office or you're in leadership. Unfortunately, over time, we governance space not erode, don't erode that. We governance space not even they encourage that. And now that's making as much as like Lara Sidonaya, instead no, in a one person where I can cite to many, even young women, when you go talk to them youth and then different people say, some of them they look say, oh, una done successful, una done this. You say, even where we sit, it is not easy. But when you get a principle, when you get a value system, then go quiz you say, but they will not kill that. And when you get a focus, waiting would on lost na salon and waiting would they try for encourage. And like you say, we don't day on this campaign, say, and we'll not go tired. It's how do you get a country where they build a national vision? How do you get a country where get a standard? When we then know say, who side we want to go as a country? What we need for let we reach there. I always give this example of engaging the Uber driver them in Ghana, where over a period of time, when I deal with them, I always try for engage. And one time in the way them just done the airport, I took about 3-4 different ones and of course go around and talk to a few like the one then at the hotel. And they all, the first thing when they ask you, have you seen our airport? It become a national pride for them. Tell me na salon right now, waiting with the highlights. Even Leon Stars, we're not able, we cricket team, we swim in team. Because there are so factors where it is difficult for them to get something where they share, where they bring it together. And at that they would don't lack over the years. And within also then, Uber driver, they always say, you know, talking gladly for the airport, they're not associated to any political party. They say, have you seen our airport? They not say, Nadami government who are the support, na build that airport. He say, our airport. Then they continue now say, una they complain. I say, but una seem for be better off even than we in A, B, C, and D. And what they said is the standard. They say, yes, una they say maybe we better off, but we have created a standard. Well, waiting on being a salon now, we don't have a standard. So when this set up, and because of the governance system, all man will associate himself on side for they get access to the, we say in Holland, the national cake. Because the national cake is not distributed for we all, for me and you. It is distributed by Ura they show affiliation. Then wait till even me and you forget, we know they get them. Those basic services where we need. So people not able for to say there has to be a standard. We need for do the right thing, for letting thing the way we need, we get them, irrespective of whose government they. So people and they condone when bad thing they happen. And I agree with you. Sometimes I listen to the radio, I look at the social media, I can begin to go up. I spend hours and they go up, say another group will be there 3 years ago, 90s. Now that person will be making that comment to a similar situation. Now talk, so you go back, like not be saying, you know, I don't begin to forget, even though I'm still young. So because we don't have a value system as Sierra Leoneans, so we really need for imbibe. Now that make when we they see, we they think say this now, so we affiliate, when they do the wrong thing, well, sometimes they will not even the benefit from, we they condone them. Then when the other person can we feel so not for associate with, we they begin to say, no, now they don't do the wrong thing. But what do we want to encourage Sierra Leoneans? Let's build that standard. This country has a lot of potential. It gets a lot of good people. Let we tap on their resources then let we left this politicization of issues and let we think country. Then one good thing which is doable, we can help for move forward.
Thank you so much, Valnora, especially for the one that were tuning to radio and go they wonder, oh, this program are they listen to? Well, you they listen to a special discussion they come to you from Campaign for Good Governance on a series of women accountability and governance. We normally can get platform them or the meeting conferences or share them few days. But COVID-19 and we did the new normal, we did virtually, and we still do the discussion. So from whatever medium you listen to this program, a Campaign for Good Governance, they bring unto you in a day with eminent women personalities where they share various perspectives and their real experience. We know say, yes, many times we talk theory, but today we want to talk real life experience so that people understand. I just listen to Valnora Edwin, it just go on the motherly perspective. It's thing how they take with country, they push and so they push with country, so we reduce with country from one corrupt state to the other. I know they help you where they think say political party now for them at the seat of power so that you go access resources. Whosoever then at the seat of power for make all Sierra Leonean access opportunities. I say for people. So we're not going to strive for other than a power for create a situation for all Sierra Leoneans. If you think that you party no more, now for benefits and you people them, you party not big past the state. You party will only survive if the Sierra Leonean state survive. But the Sierra Leonean states with the rough and so corruption, all kind tactics for access opportunity, the states go collapse like we collapsed 20 years ago. And when it collapse, you party self not go survive. So you party not big past the states, you party go only function if the state's functional. So I want to note that. And thank you, Valnora, for that perspective there. Because now it's all about party and no longer the Sierra Leoneanness in we. I turn over to Leonard Thompson. And Leonard, at this time of interlocking crisis in the world, global pandemic, decline in foreign aid, we still not fend ourselves as a country. We lost. We did effect for them small thing that will no matter. And again, the same message was Valnora for saying, I think we need to give people the small sense. Let them understand small why it's necessary for put country first and focus on the thing that will matter. Anything you say talk about political party, the political party important now an institution of the state. But the value where any citizen they get are from the state, all the good things supposed to come out. So I want you talk to Sierra Leoneans, they let me understand what good governance mean within the state.
You go free to say after 60 years or they come up to 60 years of independence, we go down fend we self-worth. And it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. We don't go to all kind of bad governance. And this now the opportunity. We have a unique opportunity now for let we put systems in place. Let we have let we adhere to the state's actual processes for make we ensure that this peace where we so seem to be so fragile will be sustained. We have come too far. And the important thing here, the reason we get for put country first, all other countries, they put themselves first. Not to alter you go get people they can help you. At some point after 60 years, if you're not able for the begin, they creep at least. This COVID, shall we say, then country there, then they put themselves first. When the pandemic came, all man lock border because they protect their own interest. Now, then they talk about vaccine. Who say we go get them in a day if we not get them from who and all the sorts of people. The country that put themselves first. The country that will get systems in place. The country that will take themselves seriously. The countries that will get accountability. They're not already secured their own because they want to make sure say they survive. But if we constantly they put pressure on we safe for the negative, we state at risk. That one way we done 20 years ago, we go come back to that. And at this point, nobody, because the time when we get that war, we get international help, international aid, all man they talk, this, that, human rights, all man they talk. Now all man busy on their own business. Therefore, when you look within the context of the global system, nation states are becoming very, very territorial in the sense that they are protecting themselves, they are protecting their own. We have to assume that kind of posture. Not to all time we go big yonder, we go this yonder, we go there. We have to ensure that we have our political system is built, because if you get a conducive political environment, you will have economic growth. This development will they go talk want the country for before. We not go recognize that because we are always dependent on others. So until we get a conducive political environment, because political parties are important, but at the same time, we have to have competition, healthy debates, healthy competition for ensure say that democracy it is sustained, the peace is consolidated. Then they go be we launching pad for make we ensure say that in there where we want in terms of even for empowerment of women and so forth. We go able for achiever. But if we there any after no more na politics, Any after no more, because you did so, you to think one way, because you did so. And really, the political leaders are to blame. Because now then they fan these flames, they incite people them. And we have so many social problems in this country where we not even begin to address it. And when you fan these flames, this incite this sentiment, you get very idle people there. We're not getting nothing for lose. So they will go do anything. And at the end of the day, that innocent person where they grab in the morning, if send it to Kingo school, they try for pass with the call, now then they suffer. The country itself, they suffer. So in terms of good governance, we got to ensure there's things that where we assume say is good governance, we put them in place, we then nurture them. Democracy is a process. We then nurture them, we then manage them. Even in America, somebody you go and say, well, in America, where they say they're not the best democracy in the world, let's have a problem. But what do you see under? You see the institutions are working. Even when they get so much partisan issues and so forth, the institutions are working. We have to place our faith in that our institutions work for us. We get trust in the institution, and the reason why we not get trust, where we so it's because the institutions don't work. If we get institutions that are strong, people will get trust in them. But until we achieve that, then we get all this problem where then they come and say, "Now you corrupt past me." Then they come and say, "Now you corrupt." For how long the narrative would be about corruption? Because that is something else we have to understand. There are so many ills in society. Corruption is at the center of it. But at the same time, we have to ensure that we put things in place that this is minimized so that we can deal with other issues that were important for us in Sierra Leone. There are so many things. This country can be a paradise if we want to, but I don't know. It just stands up, just swear, because it's unbelievable that even after the war, when we should know better, when they want the way for leading for know better, some of the rhetoric there, some of their actions there, you have to pipe down the situation. You have to, when people, if you tell like say you can go so far, but you have to draw back a bit, calm the situation down and say, you know something, we all Sierra Leoneans, let us work together hand in hand. But this Jajanaya, Pulianda Kanaya, Dane say take yanda, it is enough good for we. And we have young kids. Imagine we have a generation that is lost in Sierra Leone, a whole generation. And now we are getting another generation that will also be lost because we have no people who give us inspiration. And unfortunately for us in Sierra Leone, we look up to political leaders. Unfortunately, these political leaders do not meet our expectations. Then they will for people don't about it. They do not meet our expectations. And we always go down to the zero. We expectation are any high, but even if even now it can go low. We have to have ways where we can inspire our youth, provide them with some form of security, provide them with some form of identity, make them identify themselves as Sierra Leoneans. We are all in this together, so that at the end of the day, we know they won't go by under. As election comes, some people like begin to their back, then they go. Why? Because they go 30 under. Why? For election, so we have to ensure that we have a conducive political environment where we have competition, tolerance, where we have debates, healthy debates, productive debate, so that then will be a launching pad for our economic development. People like you always say, oh, in Sierra Leone, we have potential, we have all these resources. What in the resources don't do for me? What in the resources don't do? We're there in a country where the health system is woefully inadequate, woefully. Yeah. Their resources, then they suppose for, we are not supposed, if anything, that we should be in a tax-free haven where we have free health, free education, and so forth. You know, so it should not be a novelty. Not to become one particular, say, they make free education, it's a novelty. It should be anyway, you know, because we live in an environment where if we have our resources that are working for us, we will have all this in place. But before that, we dwell on the negative, we dwell on conflict, we are immersed in conflict, for reasons for conflict, for simple thing. You see people and they work and activity, they go don't begin fed for simple thing. So we have to ensure that we change the narrative of our debates. We have to put country first. Others are moving ahead. Look, Ghana, all the way they go to Ghana, they go and come, they say, Ghana don't this, Ghana don't that. Where we you? Where we you? And we are a population of 7 or 8 million. Come on, 7 or 8 million. You know, and then we get all these problems. And I say it, I don't want to say. So at the end of the day, we as Sierra Leoneans have to have our own sense of self. And before I can always say that in order for know which side we go, we have to know whose side we come from, and we have to know the actual president.
Oh.
You know, they run business without, you know,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lena. This is so passionate. I hope that and they listen, we leaders then. As women, we are tired. We are tired pushing. It's like one leader after the other and the same thing. One leadership after the other and the same thing. There is no headway. If anybody not tell una say we know they make progress in a salon, be the woman that they tell una say we know they make progress. Oh, talk about accountability. It's so much they affect we as women them. As women them, we really think that we deserve a better country. Thank you so much. I mean, health in crisis, the basic of social services in crisis. We've got a lot to focus on. I mean, as I say, there are many interlocking issues. Now the global, regional, and even national. We pay attention to that with effect for party. I don't know what's in this thing. Why people so obsessed with this party politics? But no, I think want to say something.
Yes, thank you. Just quickly, I just want to add to the point where Lena better make around this party issue we safely emphasize on. One of the areas where I think say accountability totally missing, and which was captured when we do the constitutional review, is about transition. So even when they talk about all the access to basic facilities, we all know, and I'm sure listeners, when you listen to the officials then, especially within the first, even this year, you hear officials and they say, in fact, when I come, nothing up in there, and this institution, they not do number 13. In fact, I'm not going to talk about things safe. Then go come, oh, one of the coffers will not meet anything. Corruption was so rife. Then in a one factor, where for me not show any level of patriotism. We don't say let there be a transition. When one government they go, especially if it's leading to another party, I always say it's like giving a baton. One person they hand baton, Sierra Leone baton to the other person. You have to run, you can run faster. Then you go say, if I may achieve more than that. But what they do, when they give the baton, they go back na the start line. It's in fact, I not like how the way this person be hold the baton, I not be like the way run, I not like I behind and give me, so me they go start. Why so the country is moving forward? There is no accountability there. You find out, say, even it is alleged that even within the presidential lodge, you know they go na salon place, you go na state out and say, hey, this now where Shaki been there, now this penny be they use. Now that time where let's pack about in Sidon and chair this, everything is gone. So until we get that transition right, so that when governments come into office, they use that as a starting point and it moves them forward. All the issues there so will continue. And why it is so strong, now this party issue.
Thank you, Valnora. It's like every term, every cycle, they begin fresh. We begin fresh, then we start back. Every time they start back. 60 years on, 1961, and we keep from 1961 to date, we keep starting afresh. We need to consider state governance, we need to consider accountability, we need to consider women's participation. Auntie Yasmin, I want to know your view about political cleaners. You Valnoa, you learn passionately. Valnoa talk about transition, then I talk say the same thing, no more political parties and views they overpower states' views and patriotism. I want to know what are the notion of political cleaners. Women can better and more effective anti-corruption forces.
Please, can you just repeat the question?
Political cleaners. We don't say it's the situation not fine at all. Go come, every time we start afresh. What's in your view about political cleaners? You think still women they can be a better and more effective anti-corruption force? Women can do better when it comes to managing the state?
My own view, I think, say this is in terms of whom can manage the state better. I don't think it's so much a matter of gender. I really think that it's a question of education. And I don't mean, say, just formal education in terms of how much who's you reach in a school, whose degree you get or not get. No, it's about whether you are not a fully developed person, whether you understand within your role within your community and within your society, whether you don't properly grasp a lot of the moral teaching, whether through religion, whether through the different type, the different formal schooling, etc., etc. I think that is what really determines how good an individual is in performing their function at the national level, or even at the family level, even at the school level, because when you start from school, that's why even from school, you start to give children responsibilities. When you have some people who get chosen to be senior prefects or get to be head girl or head boy, and to be put in places of responsibility from a very young age, and you start to see how effectively they don't learn the lessons, whether they learn them from their mama them, their grandma them, their parents them, or their peers, etc., etc. So one thing we maybe want to say, Marcella, is that you say something like we don't tire. I think say really we not tire and we not for tire. I say because it is the function and the job of the citizen for make them not tire. Then get the primary and first responsibility for ensure accountability. Because we leaders then accountable ultimately to the voters. I remember back in 1996, I got into a little bit of trouble with President Kabak because I wrote in the newspaper that I hold the highest office, and that office is the office of the voter. Because at the end of the day, if we as voters, we not take we job as voters seriously, we not really scrutinize and pay attention to the people and where they put in power and where they around them, then we responsible for a great part of the problem. If we really don't sell we vote as people, whatever it was, I think that was in 2007. That was the story. If we sell, we vote to we MP, they tell us they will not bother for calm, just send for me. And at the country, corner, send for me personally. Not worry for send for the other one, then send for me. And because they give you money, they go persuade the people in your church now in that area, say vote for this person, even though say the person not able to do the work at all. If we not be accountable to we safe, if we not sorry for we safe, because that it says that we need accountability there about. Now where person they show respect for you by for let it can explain itself to you, for let it can answer to your questions them. Now because he respect you, now because if you say you get value, now make it do anything in the. But if we as citizens, we don't first of all form at the first hurdle, we don't less people them, and we know say them useless. We don't see them, we don't live with them, we don't see how their personal lives, then they carry on in their personal lives, because I mean, I write now one of the posts say, you not go expect somebody where they lie pine with, or they lie pine man, 24/7. He don't promise na church, a public say, he go be faithful to this one person. Then within days, every day you see he then a street with other people there. If you're not able, then he say if the married go sweet now from the bachelor's leave. If you don't see the person, you're not able to manage in home, and keep peace now in home and take care of people in our home, provide book and pen and uniform for him picking there. How you think say he get for do for the rest of we? So I think say the citizens then are then forced to get for take a stand. And me are very happy that really, without the recourse to political labels, people then they take a stand. Because of education, more and more people then they understand the issues, and then they live the issues, then they see the connection between waiting the people in our parliament do, waiting the president and the minister they do, and waiting they happen at their lives. So me, I'm hopeful. I think so. We just get for stay determined. We get for keep collaborating with one another. We get for keep sharing. And I believe say in that is where women have the upper hand, because I think say for much of at least Sierra Leone society, I don't talk about other places, in Sierra Leone society, women are taught, girls are taught to be collaborative. Then they teach them for work together. Now only when then become later, when we can begin get competition for man them and things like it. Now you can see competition between women, which can be very damaging. But me think say if we continue for share, we do intergenerational dialogue, handing on the baton, like how you and Valnora they say when they share, even if you're not there, not that place there anymore, you still get a lot of it for share and with your successor. Because if your successor succeed, it means say the institution where you've been done lead, the institution where you don't put your life into, instead go succeed. And now they succeed for as long as the institution lives and does well. People then go say, now then people then they all been there. And you go get part of the kudos and part of the blessing. So I think it doesn't matter whether now man or woman. I think say one, the person get enough of some education, enough, and that education therefore make them let it get sorry at. Let it sorry for incomplete mortal man. Let it understand, say incomplete mortal man, then self-entitled for enjoy life, for let it, they not go kanaya, then can suffer for 40, 50 years, then die go, I mean, I think that's the kind of education that we need to have. The education that teaches us how can we actually help others and at the same time help ourselves. The education where they make we understand, say, even if I there, at the top of the tree, me one grain like everything, and the rest of me community, then a gutter in the darkness. You forget enough education. And our education, they do that for let you understand, say, that is not the good way to be. For let you be the leadership of a country when now normal, they eat good eat, not is not the kind of leader, is not an enjoyable type of leadership. Thank you
so much. Yes, that's why we talk about gender sensitive policy. So if a man self they lead, he make sure so he get policies we go target woman them, he get policy we go benefit young people, he get policy we go benefit person we disabled. So it's very good that we don't understand say leadership so react for the inside. We don't begin for draw the cutting down. know, until what you really push, especially young women them. Yeah, and this recent phenomenon, of slut shaming and body shaming. What's in that they mean? When you see you take office, they see you in a public life, as they see you man, so they say na girlfriend, then you don't sleep with so man them. Nasu, this thing, it really they frustrates young women them for achieve and potential. What do you think about slut shaming? Nasu, turn the mic on, please.
Me personally, now a victim of slut shaming. So I can share my own perspective and also take on the recent one that hold on they get, with the women. When President Komabi appoints me State House, many people, and I therefore say men and women, the first thing when I assign and attach to me appointments was that the president's one of in concubines. So they're not even being bothered for stand waiting on the background. And when I did it, waiting I been they do, me work where I been they work, and not be interest a lot of people. Then say the president must they sleep with me. And one particular time, it been so bad, Marcella, that I been get for going at the president in office with cry. When they been go then and actually go tell in West, say me and into the sleep. Like the reason why it they listen to Nasu, now because Nasu it they sleep with her. So that one day now one very, very, very damaging tool when they use for actually disempower women where they believe say get integrity, we get everything waiting he asked me when they talk about, we get the education, the moral clout, the political clout, the social clout, the cultural clout for lead. When they see them in you, the first thing they want for do, now for try for shaming. But not so they no more it they start when they appoint you. Even when you want to get into political office, there is a whole system. There is a whole system where within political party structures, where one for sleep with women them before they even assign them symbols. It is there. So as I've been saying, political parties are the stake, the gatekeepers of bad governance. Okay, because now they begin really make sure say, now so we for treat women then, now so for treat women. Now put them at this swing. So the lady then, somebody go get for sleep with them for let them get that position. Then go, all sorts of things. There are so many things that they do within the space. And that one they clearly create a barrier for women. So if you come out, you're not only at that space day, for example, then they can give you position of authority. We see recently in a young woman, Grace Cambobai, where newspaper shame her instead of dealing with the issues. We then now also even see with the current state of affairs where the Attorney General, the Auditor General try for, doing work, and we see Baku on social media. Then call and see woman, then call and this, a machinery way deliberately want for make sure say then disenfranchise in right for make able for do what it do. We then see in the current space as well, an issue between the first ladies now. Now we don't see, okay, and say for investigate the current first lady, the anti-corruption say, we they go to that other first lady. Then go for put woman then at loggerheads, okay, for make sure say, then subtil, then hide the actual issues, the systemic issues. Everything where they happen, the man and the sidoma, then plan them, then they script them, the people in, because then we know we find the candle. No, talk this talk will not go much, will not even talk about the elephants in the room, about what they happen in terms of accountability and the offices that women are holding. And in this space, even the offices, then you marry those office or the office of the first lady. The office of the first lady gets to be accountable, whether not this administration or the religion or the administration, any administration. The fact that we don't call an office of the first lady, and with resources as we they see now, okay, or as we they hear, say it has been used. That person, that woman who is there as the wife of the president, therefore, no say accountable to the state, to us in how she presents herself in public, because all that in perception, Important accountability is that because you are not only representing the personal anymore, you are representing the national. So then thing and then we get for all speaker into consideration. So now if they say you do something, me go put smart day, Marcella go put smart day, Marie go put smart day because of the office where you hold. Now, if you're not a private citizen, nobody no go put smart for you. So if they say the last first lady, they say, I'm sure she will open her doors if that is required. Me not know the line how for go. But I believe say anybody, including we all, we get for be accountable. But that's slut shaming now a big strategy, now a deliberate strategy for this empower. Yes,
it's a deliberate strategy to keep women away.
So keep women silent, okay?
Yeah.
And Marcella, before I end, because I take time of waiting of the time, even though I been forget more time on this. But let me even tell you how this comes into the personal space. Having relationships. You know, say man, then the way they come after we woman, then we're not then a certain political party. For just half of it, then able for sleep with we as a strategy to shut us up. It is happening. So now we get political yarning. Okay, man, they can't yarn. How many women are this country?
Let's say that's your Valentine's Day. Thank you, guys. I don't say you must throw some form of laughter into this. Thank you so much. You would press for time, but then a number of people don't send big congratulatory message for the panel, and then they say thank you. They say thank you, women, for really be part of development. We get messages from Teresa Boyma. Teresa Boyma actually sent question for Madam Lara. He said, I like the note on changing our thought processes. Madam Lara, what strategies do you think we could use to ensure this happen in a country where our literacy rate is so high? This is directly to Madam Lara Isenam. Aliluba said, the women of Sierra Leone deserve to be in more position of trust in this country. Alima to say it will take time, but we will have to still address those issues of gatekeepers. Like Enas who talk about the gatekeepers, then just know. A number, Jenny sent congratulatory message. He say, we don't cry for long. I say, yes, me. I say, people they don't tire. You say, long, not tired. It's the office of the citizen. The citizen for take, responsibility for accountability. Jenny said, we don't tire. He said, we don't cry for long, Mama Salon. How we will come up at this situation? So each of the panelists, I'm sorry to say, 1 minute closing remark. We are pressed for time. And then you say, bye-bye to the team. Yes, I will start with Lara, because you got a question for answer. And we all will use 1 minute. We can say we last word. We focus with last word on waiting us to talk to the current state of accountability. We cannot be depressed in the situation. So your last word, focus on how we can get away, out of this situation as a country, and then you say goodbye to the listeners and viewers. Thank you. Over to you, Madam Lara.
Okay, thank you, Marcella, and thank you, the person who asked the question. Me just one quick something on that matter. The reality is that even though we get people that are illiterate, but they're not fool, they get common sense. If we're able to bring to their attention for say that you picking where the worker almost smile for go school, it do that because money way for reach to and for me the school and they around the area in all day, except you go see that. If that person at that village where he want born picking, first he get forget hospital, forget motor car for reaching at the hospital, they go almost smile. Something they die in a road for picking the born a road. If you know say now because the money where they for use, they're not use out there for use them, you go no say now something important. If that person we almost here, you don't get water outside day, you don't get electricity outside day, then they're not get nothing for do electricity. Now common sense. So we were able to educate with people, make them understand, say this is a very serious thing. Right now, we talk about the SDGs, SDG 30. Now, 9 years no more left for the SDG 30, the period done. That goal 5, we talk about women empowerment and gender within and we not touch that yet. We not touch it at all because by now for the budget of itself, they get gender-based budgeting. So we get a long way from
long,
so now a start of the conversation.
a long way.
And as we all listen to this kind of thing, we go remember accountability, accountability,
accountability, accountability, accountability. Not listen to this message, they continue for go the wrong way. Valnora, please.
I think say me end the notes waiting we all for member. We say the popular saying be the change you want to see. So if we want to see a change, Sierra Leone way accountable, and that basic services will they be deprived of because of the way we political and governance system they, we all need for be the change we want to see. So Uda sits as the ACC commissioner, you need for do the needful. Uda sits present or past in the office of the First Lady, you need for do the needful. Uda they as civil society, even as the women's groups, the women constituency, we all need for do the needful. Sierra Leone will change from the sky. Not to don't know then they can't change. Not to then side there as Len and so we go bigger, and then they can't change we. We need for get a national vision. Who standard will they create for we country? Who side we want go? How we want achieve them? If 60 years old, we still there who side we dey. We still get the same conversation we don't they get for the last maybe 15 years or more, just the same, few variation. It should say we really need to get a mind shift, a different change, a new mindset of how we can make this country go decide where we need for go. And I think say we get the resources within we get the resolve within we as women, as men, as the youth for able for change the narrative.
Thank you very much, Valnora. Over to you, Lena.
Me final word I want to say is that, as Valnora say, we need a paradigm shift, and we also need people for get involved, because the reason why we are in this kind of predicament is because there is apathy, there is mistrust. You know, they say, but then they and they know they pan. But at the end of the day, we all suffer. If you tell somebody we're going to cancel, we're not sabi comprehend, the decision where they come under, it's at the detriment of you. Likewise, if you send somebody we're gonna as MP, if you know when they talk, you know when they ask questions, you know they scrutinize, you know they comprehend. Those decisions, those policies, the way they act, laws, the way they pass, they go have an impact on your life. Therefore, we as citizens have to get involved in the political process. It will not get to all get for stand, but we'll get for question. We have to hold these people that we entrust accountable for their actions and their activities and everything. We have to be that change in order for ensure say I don't go before, but a quick one. So those in parliament, those in public office, you have to also rise up to expectation, because one thing, social media now, you cannot think where you mean they feel to say you go get away with 5-10 years ago. It's no longer the case. Therefore, social media now is here. You have to get with it, and then they say, I hope say, or improve standard. But generally, people have to get involved. We have to ask questions. We have to hold them accountable. If you MP, no, you're not satisfied with how they behave or whatever, or whatever, 2023, you go there. You're not going to be any sentimental about this political party. It is at the end of the day, it's about the welfare of you, your children, your family, your community, and Sierra Leone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you. Yes, can we hear from Yasmin? Your part in short.
Well, I think it has been said by everybody. I really want to encourage people there. Say,
Can't hear him.
Sorry, we lost Yasmin. We'll come back to her. We No, we cannot get
Whole
Yasmin. I think saying connection, the key problem.
freedom.
Oh,
You know,
she's
if the
yes,
person where they
please.
work for you too much, check her master. So they like, you know.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Can we have Nasu? We come back to Yasmin. Connection again problem.
Well, thank you once again, boss lady, and thank you to this eminent panel. Really what we need for do really now for make sure say we get more women in decision making. The women then we get for really come together in solidarity for make we really take this movement, you know, with we heart, with body, and with soul. Until we get women then at decision making for make the policies and the laws in this country, it not go happen. But most importantly, let we also know say political yearning, whether not inside your office, whether now actually they go for now actually a human rights violation because you actually they close the space around women. So we want to make sure say zero tolerance to political yarning, and please know that we now need a female president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. It must be a mantra and we should wear it like our makeup. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. What a way to end this session. Can I say a big thank you to my panelists? You all have been awesome. I did not doubt this panel a bit. I know that the very issues. So until they can for let me one day talk. Campaign for Good Governance has taken on the responsibility to educate the citizens. So being said, the panel peak was just the right panel we needed to send the message at this current time. And I say a big thank you to you all, and I appreciate the work you're doing for this country. Continue to be you and continue to do good. I want to say a big thank you also to the media, 98.1. We make sure say we family that we're not able for online, able for listening this via radio. I want to say thank you to SMS Online TV. They have been very supportive to the programs of Campaign for Good Governance. And also the staff of Campaign for Good Governance, the communications team, they've been very good to set this up without very, very limited problems. Thank you so much. We look forward to a situation where we can bring more women. People are asking, why is our panel so beautiful? Because we have all beautiful women on the panel. We exactly. I mean, this was deliberate. This is a space for women. This is women communicating their own experiences. We do not men have been speaking for us on health issues. How can a man speak on maternal health? A woman can tell you what maternal health is, for example. So this is a woman-only space where women will communicate those issues affecting them. So we're coming back with the same series with different women who will be communicating different things as governance and accountability affects them. Thank you very much, Varnora. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Nasu. And thank you, Lara.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.